Hey, good morning. Welcome back for day 13 of 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. So let's jump right in this thing today. Yesterday, we covered the crossroads of life, and I gave you questions throughout the class meeting yesterday. Wanted you to write them down, wanted you to answer them yourself, and if you weren't able to completely answer the way you wanted to in the short time that we had together yesterday, I asked you to please finish that for homework in your journal or your workbook. I hope that you were successfully able to do that, as those are some really important questions, and they can really help shape and build your life. Okay, now today we're going to discuss what about friends, what about sex, and what about school. And let's see here, it just went a little too far. What about friends is first up. So take your choice of friends, for example. And keep in mind, we're still talking about the crossroads of life, okay? Have you ever noticed what a powerful influence they can have on your attitude, reputation, and direction? They need to be accepted and be part of a group. The need to be accepted and be part of a group is powerful. But too often we choose our friends based on whoever will accept us. And that's not always good. For example, to be accepted by the kids who do drugs, all you have to do is do drugs yourself. The wrong group can lead you down all kinds of paths you really don't want to be on. And retracing your steps can be a long, hard journey. Sometimes it's actually better to just hang out alone, to be honest. If you're having trouble making good friends, remember that your friends don't always have to be your age. I once spoke to a guy who only had a few friends at school, but he did have a grandpa who listened to him, made him laugh, and was his great friend. It filled the popularity void he had in his life. It can feel empowering to connect with people over the internet or through apps, especially when you're struggling to connect with people in person. Ben's story goes like this. Last fall, I got pretty into online gaming, and it was a really good way to connect with people who were in the same kind of stuff as me, stuff that other people called nerdy. I didn't know that many people at my new school, but I had this really amazing supportive community online. There were chat threads that all the users commented on, and there were some really interesting people on it. It felt safe to finally talk with people who didn't make fun of me for being into games. And I thought about meeting a group of them in person. Then I remembered hearing news stories about cyberstalkers and online harassment, and that kind of freaked me out. I just realized I had to be smart. I mean, all these people I was talking to seemed cool, not dangerous, but I just knew I shouldn't share personal info with them or meet them because really, I didn't know who they were. So I told them I didn't feel comfortable meeting, and most of them agreed that was cool. So we just left it as an online friendship. Only once did someone really creep me out. One user asked me for my address and photo, but before I even started stressing about it, I realized I could be in control of the situation. I blocked them and never heard from them again. Actually, having this community online has made me more confident, and I've been making more friends at my new school. You can't be too careful about sharing personal info online, and Ben seems to have got it down. Even if you video chat with someone or follow them on Instagram and they seem nice or attractive, there's no way of knowing that they're not a total psycho in person. What about sending explicit text or sexting photos of yourself? Even to someone you already know and trust. It might seem funny at the time, but who knows what the person you're sending them to will do down the road. What if you and your boyfriend or girlfriend break up and they wind up sharing your texts or photos to hurt you? Ouch. It seems like once a week some celebrity or politician is getting in trouble for that sort of thing. If you keep your end in mind and avoid these kinds of situations, there's way less risk of having someone take advantage of you. The long and short of it is, just be wise when choosing friends and partners. Be selective about the people you trust, because so much of your future hangs on whom you hang out with. Okay, real talk for just a minute, because I know that sexting is a big thing. It is a real thing with you guys, and it's your prerogative. However, it is incredibly important for you to know that people who you think you can trust now, you cannot always trust in the future, just like we just read, okay? It's not cool if you trust someone and you send them something and then months down the line, they share it with people, or weeks down the line, they share it with people. It's not cool at all. And the way you can combat that, the way you can keep that from happening is by not doing it. And I know that as a teenager, all you want is to feel accepted. And people will say anything in the world that they can possibly say to get you to believe them, to feel comfortable with them. Because all we inherently inside in our soul want is to be accepted by people. That is why peer pressure is so powerful. Okay. And when I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones like we have now. We had those little Nokia things where you had to press the button 700 times just to type yes. They didn't have camera capabilities. There was no sexting back then. It was not a part of peer pressure. Peer pressure was drugs and alcohol. Today, and well, real sex. Today, it's drugs, alcohol, sex, and sexting, and God knows what else. And you have to be strong enough in your mind. You have to be so hungry for the future in your mind that nothing they say can cause you to make a decision that will derail your future. Nothing little Johnny or little Ashley says should make you set aside your morals and your values and send them something you're uncomfortable with. And let me be real with you, real with you right here. If somebody asks you to send them a picture that is inappropriate, first off, and you don't realize it's inappropriate, you got to figure that one out for yourself. Secondly, if someone asks you to send a picture that is inappropriate and you know it's inappropriate, but you do it anyways, you have to dig deep inside because, again, that's a lack of confidence in yourself because you feel like you have to send this thing that's going to inevitably hurt you because they always come out. Just please be careful. Begin with the end in mind. You have the power. You create your own future. Okay, I'm going to step down off my high horse now and get back to the book. Here we go. What about sex? And what about sex? Talk about an important decision. If you wait until the heat of the moment to choose which path to take, it's too late. Decide now. The path you choose affects your health, the way you feel about yourself, how fast you grow up, your reputation, whom you'll date and perhaps marry, and so much more. Think this decision through carefully. One way to do this is to imagine the kind of person you hope to end up with. How do you hope your future mate is leading his or her life right now? In a recent poll, going to movies was ranked as the favorite pastime of teens. I love movies too, so I'm right there with you. But I'd be careful about the values they promote. Most movies lie, especially when it comes to issues like sex. They glamorize sleeping around and having one-night stands without addressing potential risks and consequences. The movies don't show you the life-altering reality of contracting a sexually transmitted infection or a disease like AIDS. They rarely address what it's like to become pregnant and to have to deal with everything that brings with it. They don't tell you what it's like living on minimum wage because you had to drop out of high school and the father of the child is long gone and sends no money. And what it's like spending your weekends changing diapers and caring for a baby instead of cheering on your volleyball team, going to dances, and just being a kid. We are free to choose our paths, but we can't choose the consequences that come with them. Have you ever gone water sliding? You can choose which slide you want to go down, but once you're sliding, you can't very well stop. You must live with the consequences to the end. A teenage girl from Illinois shared this story. I had one bad year, my freshman year, when I did everything from drinking, drugs, older guys, bad crowds, etc. Mostly because I was frustrated and unhappy. It just lasted a year, but I'm still paying for those past mistakes. No one forgets, and it's hard to have to deal with a past you aren't too proud of. I feel as though it will haunt me forever. All kinds of people still come up to my boyfriend and say, I hear your girlfriend drinks and smokes and is easy, and things like that. But the worst is probably the fact that every time I have a problem of any kind, I immediately think, maybe if I hadn't done that, everything would be okay. Decisions are important, guys. Your future is important. You have to be the one who makes those decisions and realizes how important your future is. Again, I'll say it. You have the power to create your future. Be careful about the decisions you make as a teenager. All right, what about school? What you do about your schooling can also shape your future in a major way. Krista's experience shows us how much beginning with the end in mind in your educational pursuits pays off. As a junior in high school, I decided to take an advanced placement AP US history class. At the end of the year, I'd have a chance to take a national exam to qualify for college credit. It was difficult to keep up, but I was determined to do well in the class and pass the exam. With this goal in mind, it was easy to put in my full effort. One assignment was particularly time consuming. The instructor asked each student to watch a documentary on the Civil War and write a paper on each segment. The series lasted 10 days, and each segment was 2 hours long. As an active high school student, it was difficult to find the time, but I did it. I submitted the report and discovered I was one of only a handful of students who watched the series. The day of the exam finally arrived. The students were nervous and the air was thick. The test administrator announced, "Begin." I took a deep breath and broke the seal on the first section, multiple choice. With each question, I gained confidence. I knew the answers. I completed the section several minutes before I heard I finished. Pencils down. Next, we would each write an essay. I nervously opened the seal of the essay book and scanned the questions quickly. I answered the question related to Civil War using references from my reading as well as the documentary. I felt calm and confident as I completed the exam. Several weeks later, I received my score in the mail. I had passed. So, it's incredibly important to begin with the end in mind. What is your goal? What do you want out of this? Okay? Where do you're what, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, maybe some going into the 10th grade now? In 3 years, where do you see yourself? What kind of person are you? Who are you hanging around with? What kind of grades do you have? Those of you who are a little bit older, are you in college? Are you not in college? I know we were supposed to do the crossroads questions yesterday, but legitimately, think about it. You have to begin with the end in mind. Okay, we'll do who's in the lead, and we will actually do some worksheets tomorrow. So come prepared with your notebook or your workbook, and we'll have a little bit of fun. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and have a wonderful day.